Hi, I'm Erin Frame with Reframe Your Future. This is my second podcast, video and audio. So I have a whole kind of change of plans from the first one. When I first started this, I thought to myself, oh, I want to help people, which I do. I thought, how do I, help people through, maybe some issues that they're having, whether it's, temptation or guilt or doubt or whatever that looks like. And I realized, I don't know if I'm the person qualified to do that. I'm definitely somebody who feels very passionate about what I'm doing, especially at this moment in time. And I feel like I just want to put that out there. So I came up with a whole new tagline. It's not sober bliss anymore, even though that's great. And I do feel blissful. It is sober fierce. So, one thing like I talked about in the last episode is I can't believe how kind of shameful people feel when they're sober because they kind of don't feel like they fit in with society anymore. And I just have such a different reaction to it. And I don't know why that is. But I have talked to, several friends that have started this journey and are way further in than myself. And it's not as easy for them to talk about it. There is a feeling of, being embarrassed maybe for having, alcohol have such a, such power over them at any time. And I have to admit, I felt somewhat that way, but nothing like I'm really hearing now from friends. So I think what I want to put out there is, be fierce. I mean, how powerful is it to be able to say no to the norm, say no to almost what's expected of you? Why do we want to follow people like, we're sheep? Advertisers have put alcohol in your face since you were a kid. I remember I have pictures with my dad and his beer, with all of his sailing buddies and their kids. And I can talk to anybody that was born in the 70s or 60s, and you're going to hear the same exact story from them. So it's kind of been expected, I think. It's expected to be a teenager and experiment, which I do agree with that. But I think it's also expected to, have to have champagne at a wedding and, have to get ripped drunk at your bachelorette party. And I think these are things that are a bunch of bullshit, to be really blunt. What I'm finding in this kind of short period of time, I've been sober since the first of the year. I still, of course, have some challenges that we'll talk about in a minute, but of course, I'm assuming these are going to be with me forever, or at least a very long time. But I just have this urge to really just put it out there, kind of put it in people's faces, because I think we almost need to start a movement, Sorry, I'm not used to doing this microphone thing yet. Start a movement. How cool is it to not drink, And I think it's amazing. And I think that we're really against the grain. And being against the grain is freaking exciting. And the older I get, the more I want to do it. I even put on I don't know if you can see, but if you can't see, but I put on my kind of leather pants today because I'm telling you now, fierce makes me feel like I want to not get a mullet. My hair gal, I keep showing her Miley Cyrus's hair, and I love it. And she's like, girl, that's a mullet. I'm not giving you a mullet. And she's pretty hip, so, but I can kind of make it look like a mullet with my headphones. So I think, from going forward, sober fierce is going to be my tagline. And I have big plans for that catchphrase. So be on the lookout. But I feel like I want to coach people or talk to people about really embracing that, because it's a powerful thing. When you feel fierce, you feel like you can do anything. You feel like you are not like the norm. And I think people expect things from us. They expect us to look a certain way, act a certain way, just, be thin, be this, be that. I mean, it's a bunch of crap. I've had body image issues for my whole life. And I think everybody I know does. And if people don't, I think I would love to be them. Even when I was my fittest, I still would look in the mirror and see something that wasn't there. And I look back on pictures now and go, girl, you look amazing. Like, what is your problem? So I think fierce is a very broad category that we're going to be playing around with in this podcast. So I guess we can leave that a little on the, not the back burner. I have chills right now, by the way. This is a really powerful moment for me. And I'm really hoping that at some point, I'll be doing these live. I need to get some followers first. So whoever is listening to this, my plan is please share. Even if you do drink, which is great. I'm fine if you drink. My husband drinks. It's not a big deal. My parents drink. My brother drinks. His wife drinks. I really haven't been faced with those feelings, those, how I'm going to react to a lot of this stuff. But, I did my first sober Super Bowl, which it was more fun. I mean, I think I told my story on the first one about just being ripped drunk on when the Seahawks lost that Super Bowl. And, I saw Tom Brady. Oh my gosh, Tom Brady just won the Super Bowl, as we know. Not terribly happy about that, but he's pretty dang good quarterback. And he was ripped. And I thought to myself, how many times have I looked like that? And it's not so much how you look, it's about how you feel in the morning and how you feel when you're looking at yourself in that video, going, what in the world? Why did I get myself into that situation? And once again, I'm having a hard time looking over here. So anyway. So one of the things that I do, and that's what I was saying is, I'm hoping that we can all kind of go on this journey together, whether you drink or whether you don't drink, whether it's about supporting your friends, either way, whatever their choices are. So, if I choose to be sober, I want you to look at me like a badass, like, oh, wow, that takes a lot of strength. Or maybe, you are wanting to moderate, you don't want to give up drinking, which you don't have to give up drinking. And some people just love getting shit-faced. I mean, there's a place for everyone, but for people who really don't love getting shit-faced and are doing it because they cannot stop, kind of take on that persona of, it's funny. I thought of Beyonce when I came up with Sober Fierce. I'm like, Sasha Fierce. It's kind of her alter ego. Be a badass, stand up, be proud. I'm going to have shirts made, guys. I got to do it. It's going to be Sober Fierce shirts. And I don't know how all this is going to play out, but I want a hat too that says it. Because when I go out, I want people to look and say, holy crap, look at her leather pants. Look at her, she's sober to boot. Like she's actually going out in public like this without alcohol. Pretty funny. So I thought I'd try to keep these a little bit shorter just because I know commitment for 20 minutes is a lot. So unless you're listening in your car. But one of the things I wanted to talk about that is challenging to me, or was very challenging and is getting a bit easier, is, just learning to sit with yourself. Because that's kind of the one thing I feel that the reasons I would drink is because there were emotions and stress, anxiety, things that I would experience at certain times of the day. And instead of really sitting down, breathing, because that's a huge thing, I find out I stop breathing, and I hold my breath, and that really causes anxiety. But instead of doing that, start to think about, why are you feeling this way? What is causing that anxiety? What's causing that panic, that feel of panic? These are all things that I would get. And I'm finding that by doing this, I'm starting to cope a bit with what those reasons might be. Stresses at work, worrying about what people think about me. Why do I care? I guess 20, 30 years, 25 years of pretty heavy drinking, can kind of spin you out, and I think in a way it also caused a lot of my insecurities. Because look at me now, fierce with leather pants. Woo! So I would tend to really start to feel that way around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon after kind of my work day was done. And as you know, real estate can be a very, very, very stressful thing. And I would drink to kind of shut off all those feelings and emotions. And then what would happen is I wouldn't do anything else the rest of the night. There's some things that I could do with my kind of eyes closed, but overall, that's what I did, is I just would numb myself, just self-medicate. Now, what I'm trying to do, first off, I think it's very important to kind of change your habit of where you would normally sit. I have my spot on the couch. My husband has a spot in his chair. We have our certain show that we would watch every day. And like I said in my last episode, I went for kombucha because it kind of has a little flash to it. I put it in a wine glass. So I am drinking the kombucha. I'm trying to not watch the same programs at the same time, trying to get myself outside of the house, or just like committing to things that I would never have committed to after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'll be honest, it's still challenging. And it's going to be challenging, I would guarantee you, until I can get through, at least a full year of things, events, holidays, just things that pop up. But it's also exciting. And I think this is where the fierce part comes in, is every day when I start to feel like that, once you gotta just put that fierce hat on, that I've got this. Like, I'm up for the challenge. I want to make myself better. I want to be stronger. I want to be happier. I want to have clearer skin. I know that's random, but that's one thing I'm noticing is my bags under my eyes are going away. My skin is getting kind of plumper. There's a lot of really great things that go along with not drinking. So I think, like I said, really try to put that fierce persona on, maybe when you're considering not drinking anymore, don't go into it being yourself. Who, if you could be somebody, who would you be? I'm in a accountability partnership with a really great human being. And, her alter ego is Oprah freaking Winfrey. How much more fierce could you be than that? She's got other things that, she's doing this year. It's not like really an alcohol based thing, but why not just kind of like come up with that person, like a Sasha Fierce, somebody that you can say, you know what? I don't have to be my weak, self. It's like, and I think that day in and day out, I would fight with myself feeling like I'm so strong in some areas and so weak in other areas. So my plan is to be sober fierce. I can't say it enough. I think it's a great kind of catchphrase. So I guess that's my challenge to you this week is, even if you're drinking is not a problem. I've sent this to many friends who drinking is not a problem. But if you do know of somebody that maybe is going through a challenge, like trying to quit drinking, this could be good for them. But also just in your life, let's say you're struggling with getting to the next step in your career, or, maybe your relationships with your spouse is bad. Really think of yourself as a different person. Not that you are not a whole wonderful, beautiful person, but why can't that be a part of you too? So I guess those are my words of wisdom for the day. And I still don't quite know where I'm taking this show, but I just feel the need to talk about it. And I think next time or the time after, I'm really going to try to get a second person on here with me, somebody who's gone through their own journey. Because everybody I've talked to so far that is sober at this point, it's very different for each person. So let's just plan to meet again. My plan is to put these out at least once a week. And please share. Let's get the word out. Let's start a movement. Let's make sobriety the new it thing. There's just so much to talk about on this subject. And I'm super excited that I'm doing this. So, all right, guys, find your sober fierce. I'm Erin Frame. Reframe your future. Peace out. Until next time.